Hey, welcome back to the Travel Life. So today I thought I would talk you through, we're considering, we have not done this yet, we have not pulled the trigger, but I've done the homework, Thousand Trails Camping Pass. So if you're not familiar with Thousand Trails, in a brief summary, it's a network of campgrounds that you can join and you can pay one variable fee, depending what you want, kind of an a la carte menu, and then you get access to those campgrounds for free or close to free after paying your dues. So that's in a nutshell what Thousand Trails is. Depending on how you count it, they have a lot of campgrounds, around 190 I think, if you get the add-ons. They go, more or less, they follow the coast. So there's a few in the middle of the Great Lakes area, but generally they kind of follow the coast. There's a bigger presence in Texas, but other than that, a lot of presence in Washington, California, of course Florida, and then up the East Coast all the way to Maine. So they have a pretty good network of campgrounds, sans the Midwest. They do have one in Las Vegas. They're a little bit spread out, quite a few in Arizona. But anyways, there's a bunch of different levels. One thing that's hard when you're evaluating a Thousand Trails membership is they've been around for a long time and there's so many memberships. So you can buy them new, you can buy them used, and they're all different, and every contract is different. So it makes it not the easiest to really compare apples to apples. But I'm going to start with the Zone Pass, the first one, which I didn't do a lot of homework on because it's really not probably what we're looking at. But just to touch on it, basically, right now they got a sale, it's $485 for the basic Zone Pass. So let's say you're in the Northwest, for instance, there's 5 zones. I took some notes here. So there's 5 zones. $485 gives you 1 zone. So if you're in the Northwest, that gives you, depending which zone it is, but 13 to 23. So I think it's 18 in the Northwest, but don't quote me on that. That gives you access to those 18 campgrounds, up to 14 nights in a row, and then you have to leave for 7 nights. You can't go to another campground. You have to go somewhere else for 7 nights, and you can come back for 14. You can do that for 30 nights a year. After that, there's a nominal fee, which sounds like it's around $3. So that's a pretty good deal, really. You can camp, if you're a weekend warrior, you can camp, a whole month for $500. That's a pretty reasonable deal, I think. You have a 60-day reservation window with that one, so you make your reservation 60 days out. That could be an issue if you want a 4th of July weekend or something like that at a busy campground. That could be a problem. But again, generally, that's a pretty good deal. And after you hit your 30 nights, it's only like $3 a night anyway. So these are full hookup sites. I think it's a great deal. I don't think it would be hard to make that work on a nightly basis. You figure most of the campgrounds are probably around $40 a night, I'm going to guess, would be the retail rack rate. So that one seems like it makes good sense. Now, again, we're going full time, so that wasn't something I put a lot of time into. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. But again, there's no commitment. You can cancel. It's a 1 year at a time kind of deal, and it's $485 right now. It goes on and off sale all the time. But that seems like one that probably makes pretty good sense if you're looking for a basic type membership. Now, what we're looking at is a more substantial membership because we're traveling not just in one region. We're traveling all across the country. Now, we tend to kind of stick to the coast anyways just because we like the water. So that part of it, as far as campground availability goes, works really well for us. So when you're looking at a Thousand Trails membership, one of the first things you need to decide is whether you want to buy a used membership or a new membership. There are some advantages and disadvantages to both. So starting with a used membership, the pro of a used membership is cost. They generally cost less than a new membership does. There are some cons, however, to a used, and I'll get to the new in just a second. One of the cons to a used is you're assuming somebody else's contracts. Some of those contracts are old, so you really need to make sure you understand clearly what is in that contract. A lot of those older contracts also have a clause that says they can only be sold one time. So if you're the second buyer, you can't sell that contract. You can usually still get out of them if you just forfeit your money and say, hey, I want to cancel. You can get out of it. But you generally can't sell it to another person. Not in every case, but in a lot of cases. So that's something that you definitely want to look into if you're looking at a used membership. The other thing is the used memberships don't necessarily match up with the new memberships as far as the campgrounds because, again, the contracts change. So maybe at the time they issued the membership that you're buying, there was 50 campgrounds included, whereas a new one may have 90. So you really need to make sure that you understand exactly what you're buying. Now, I haven't been through this process, I'm just evaluating, but from what I understand, you can call Thousand Trails with their member number and get most of this information. Thousand Trails also charges a fee, a transfer fee, to transfer that membership. I believe it's $750 or somewhere in that neighborhood. Again, that may vary. Seems like the contracts vary a lot. They also vary with the dues, and with the dues freezes at certain ages, that option may or may not be available. So if you're buying a used one, it's really buyer beware. Now, there is a pretty good outfit. I'll put their link below. I think the gal's name's Kim that I talked to. Campground Membership Outlet. They broker these types of memberships. So they were a really good resource for me. She sent me all the information. It was really helpful. So that's some of the pros and cons of the used ones. And again, they all vary, so it's kind of hard to nail down exactly an apples to apples comparison. So, really just do your homework on that and make sure that whatever you're getting meets your specific needs. All right. As far as a new one, so we talked about the basic zone passes, and then there's some variations of that. You can add extra zones, you can do different things for different fees. But again, that's going to be kind of your basic entry-level membership. So what we were interested in is more of a full-timer, bigger investment membership that gives you a lot more flexibility. Again, with the used ones, there are several options available as far as different reservation windows, so on and so forth. But what I want to talk about now, I'll go through these on the new just because it's pretty clear what's included in the new ones, whereas the used ones would vary. So I called, I think the guy's name was Tom, and his wife's name was Brandy Rainu. Now they're out of, one thing to note, they're out of, I think it's Virginia this summer. If you buy from them as opposed to Thousand Trails Corporate, if you buy from corporate, you pay sales tax. If you buy through them, you don't. So I'll put their info below too. I don't get any kickbacks from any of these people, I'll just tell you. I try to kind of do it by email. I don't like calling salesmen, and I figured they would be really salesman-y. And it really wasn't too bad, so you give them a call, it's not that big a deal. But I'll summarize for you. If there's something I missed that you want to know, leave a comment below and I'll try and find the answer. Alright, so their basic package, the upgraded full-timer package, if you will, is called the Elite Basic. So, the Elite Basic, most of these have some things in common. You can will these to your kids up to 8 times. I don't know if that's something that's of value to you or not. You can also sell it. Now, for my purposes here, I figure that it's going to have no value. Now, maybe it will. It appears to be a resale market, so maybe you get something back. I look at that as a bonus. I'm not counting on that, but you can sell it. So what the Elite Basic gives you is you can do 21 nights in a row at a Thousand Trails park. The big advantage is you can go from park to park to park. So you could go from the one in Mount Vernon, Washington to the one in LaConner, Washington, which is right down the street. Spend 21 nights in one, go to the other one, go back, and keep traveling. And you could stay, in theory, the entire year and never have to pay for a night of camping. Whether that's practical or something you want to do, I'm not sure. But you could definitely do that. That's a big advantage. There's also they have some reciprocal with RPI included in that, which is another membership thing. And I think that kind of fills in some of the gaps of their campgrounds, maybe in the middle. So if you're somewhere where there's not 1,000 trails, you can go to RPI and it costs you $10 a night. They throw that in for free for the first year. And then same thing with Enjoy America. That's another one. You get some similar benefit where it's $15 to $18 a night. So if you're in somewhere where there's not 1,000 trails, they do have a reciprocal deal that you get. You also get a free 1 week in a cabin every year. So I think he said that was for 5 years. So you could go to, if you're in a campground and your kids want to come see you or whatever, you could rent a cabin there for a week for free. They could stay, or if you just get tired of your wife and you want to go get away, you can rent a cabin for a week, and that's free. So I thought that was kind of cool. I don't know that that's a benefit that if I had a choice I would pay for, but it's included. It's kind of cool. They also have, you get family cards, so if you're not using your membership, your kids can use it. I wasn't totally clear on how that works, but that was there. The other thing with this is you get to make your reservations 120 days out. So that should probably, alleviate a lot of the, I said earlier with the minimal pass, you can only do it 60 days out. This should allow you to get a holiday weekend. So I would say this is probably a pretty good package. This is kind of where I started. Said it checks most of the boxes for me. Again, the family cards, didn't ask too many questions about that, but if you're interested, comment below and I'll find out. Anyways, that was running. They're having a special, as it would turn out. My hunch is there's always a special, but that's running $64.95. And then I believe your dues are about $500 a year, depending if you add some RPI things or whatever. But so $64.95, and I'm going to do some math. So when I get done telling you about these, I'll go to the computer and I'll show you the breakdown I did based on the number of nights. I figured we were going to stay in a park 200 nights a year, and I did all my math based on that. And then over the time that we're going to be traveling, because we don't know if it's going to be 1 year or 5 years. Yeah, but I'll share all that math with you. It's pretty good. So that's coming up. You want to stick around for it. The other thing is, if you buy a new membership, if you want to finance it, you can. They finance everybody. I don't think there's any kind of credit issues or income issues, whatever. You put 10% down, and on this one it was $650 down, $137 a month. So if you want to finance it, that's an option. I think the interest rate is pretty high. It's like 17% or something, but if you need it, maybe it works out. The next one was what they called the best value, and this is the Elite Connection. So the Elite Connection gives you a 180-day reservation window. So that gives you really a long time. For me, I don't know that we're going to be planning that specifically 6 months ahead of time. We're not the type that are going to go one trip a year to one place. So I don't know that really was a big value, but it might be a value to you. You also get the getaway cabins. You get 1 week in a getaway cabin, which is an upgraded cabin, I guess, for 10 years. So if that has value to you, that's there. You also get RPI for 2 years instead of 1. That was that kind of bonus thing. Again, that didn't have a lot of value to me, but it might to you. That one, the price goes up a couple grand. So that was $86.45 on special is what that one went to. And that was 10% down. Again, $177 a month if you want to finance it. Then the final one, the big daddy of Thousand Trails, is called the Ultimate Odyssey right now. Now, these names change, but right now it's called the Ultimate Odyssey. You get 28 days in the park. 4 times a year you can add a week, and then you also get 2 weeks in season. So there are, I think it's 8 campgrounds that have some limitations. So if you want to go to Disney World, for instance, on spring break, everybody wants to go there. So I think you only get 2 weeks in that park normally. If you have like an elite, membership, you can have 2 weeks instead of 3. And there's only 8 parks, so it's really not that big a deal. But this gives you some relief. If you buy the ultimate package, you get some relief from that restriction. You also get a $500 a year credit towards cabins or vacations or whatever. They have some kind of, you can trade it for hotel points. Sounded kind of timeshare-y to me, but if you travel a lot, that could be a benefit. But that one, get ready for this, $13,695. So, I don't know, that seemed kind of crazy to me, but maybe somebody would do it, I guess, if you really wanted the timeshare points and the longer reservation window. That would maybe be something that you would do. For me, that just wasn't really in the cards. So I think the Elite Basic is probably what we are leaning towards. I don't know if we're going to do it. We haven't decided to pull the trigger. But now I'm going to take you to my computer and I'm going to show you the math that I did on this package. And I'll give you the breakdown and how I amortized it over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 years. And you can see what it's worth to you. And you can play with the variables a little bit. So that's it. Let's go to the computer. Okay, guys, here's my Thousand Trails analysis. Now, again, this is sort of a rough number. I didn't factor in things like dues increases, which would vary by contract. Sometimes they're frozen for a period of time. Sometimes they're the cost of living index. So there might be some minor things off, and your mileage may vary. The dues may not quite be $600. And I based this on some assumptions. So I'm going to share those with you now. So here's the assumptions that I made. I made the assumption that you're going to spend 200 nights. At least for us, I thought that's a reasonable amount that we'd probably spend per year. You really may end up spending more, or you may end up spending less. But I thought that was a fair, at least for the first year, that was a fair probably number. I based this on a brand new purchase. So if you bought a used one, the prices of the used ones are, around half-ish. And then there's a transfer fee. So I'm going to say you save some money. A used membership may be $4,000 all total instead of $6,500. I also base this on annual dues of $600, which a lot of times they're less than that. But this just, again, to give you an idea. And I base this on 0 residual value. So this means at the end of it, you just cancel it, throw it away, and it's worth nothing.
Now it may be worth something, but I kind of try to take a worst case scenario. So I think that should all balance out. So let's get into it. All right, so this is I looked at this as if we did it for 1 year, 200 nights, and then quit RVing. In that case, your total cost would be about $7,100, which gives you a monthly cost of $591.67. So you'd be paying $591 a month, but that goes for all 12 months, even though you're only staying for 200 nights. Still not bad. And then your average cost per night is $35.50. So I would say if you're only planning on doing it for 1 year, it's pretty marginal as far as an investment goes, because $35 a night, I'm sure you can find in RV parks for that much, or maybe even less on longer term. So if you're only looking at a year, it's probably not the best investment. For us, I looked at it and went, well, okay, the worst case scenario, if it's only a year, that's not horrible. I can live with the consequence. All right, so we go to 2 years. Again, the cost goes up by just our dues. So now our total cost is $7,700, which brings our monthly down to $320. So again, that's for 12 months. You're paying $320, and you're staying 200 nights. Our total cost per night now is down to $19.25, which that's getting pretty competitive. I would say that seems like a pretty good rate for not having to do monthly stays, everything else. And that includes, full hookups in most cases. If you look at a 3-year look, this is kind of where I think it really gets to be a good deal. If you're going to do this for 3 years or more, it probably makes good sense. Again, our cost just went up by our dues. Now your monthly's down to $230. So again, 200 nights, $230 a month over 12 months. Your total cost per night now is down to $13.83. So I think, if you're taking a 3-year look at this, if you could lock in your camping rate at $13.83 a night, and again, this only assumes you do 200, so if you do more, it would go down even further. But I think the value gets better, obviously, as time goes on. Over 4 years, really starts to get low. Now you're $8,900 total cost, $185 a month, and you're down to $11.13 a night. Let's look at the 5th year. So if you really did this for 5 years, spent your 200 nights a year, your total cost is $9,500, $158 a month, and $9.50. Again, let's bear in mind that with this, you're having no garbage bill, no water bill, no electric bill. You had full amenities at most of the places. That really starts to, if you're going to spend that kind of time in the park, that gets to be a fantastic deal. I think if you're looking at 5 years or more, you can't beat it. I didn't include any financing here, but if you had some financing charges, that would be on top of it. Where it also really gets interesting is after year 6. So now your first 5 years, we amortize everything out. So it's all 100% paid for. And so now you're just paying $50 a month or $600 a year. And your nightly cost is $3 for those 200 nights. So in most cases, you'd pay more than that just for electrical in most parks. So if you're looking long term, I don't think there's any question that this is hard to beat from an economic standpoint. Whether it's the right fit for you lifestyle-wise and everything else is a different discussion. But as far as the money part goes, I think it's hard to beat on a long-term basis. And even on a short-term basis, for me, I'm looking 1 to 3 years probably. I still think it's hard to beat. But that's it. Let's go back to the trailer.
So there you go. There's my rundown of 1,000 trails. Kind of how I looked at it. Your math may be different. Your number of nights may be different. But it should give you an idea, a rough starting point. And kind of just shares with you our analysis and how we think it may or may not work out for us. So, again, we haven't pulled the trigger on this. I think we probably will, and when we do, we'll be sure to let you know about the process, the sign-up. I'll walk you through, I'll take you along for the ride as I try and make the reservations and do all that stuff and see if it's as easy as they say it is. And then we'll start sharing the campgrounds with you too and showing you that. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and give us a like and a comment. We hope to get some interactivity going here, and we hope to see you on the road. Thanks for watching.